Daewon Kim stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber and felt the weight of 17 species watching him. Most of them were not watching with respect. The tall reptilian Chancellor Threlvor lounged in his seat, his scaled face showing clear boredom. The insectoid war commander Quintel clicked his mandibles in what Daewon had learned was their version of laughter. 30 years. Humanity had been part of this council for 30 years. In that time, they had earned a reputation as the galaxy's best mediators. When two species argued over trade routes, humans found solutions. When border disputes threatened to become wars, humans talked everyone down. They were good at making peace. The problem was that everyone thought being good at peace meant being bad at war. Ambassador Kim, Threlvor said, his voice dripping with mock politeness, you have requested this emergency session to discuss the Valkyrie expansion. Again, this is the 5th time this month. Daewon kept his face calm. Jiwoo Park stood beside him, her hands clasped behind her back. She was his chief diplomat and his closest advisor. She had warned him that this session would go badly. She had been right before, and Daewon suspected she was right again. Chancellor, Daewon said, the Valkyrie Empire has now annexed 3 neutral worlds in the space we protect. These worlds asked for our help. We promised them protection when they joined the Independent Colonies Agreement. Protection, Quintel chittered. The humans speak of protection. Tell me, Ambassador, how many warships does your species have? Daewon knew the answer they expected. Our defense fleet consists of 43 ships. The council chamber filled with the sounds of alien laughter. 43 ships. The Valkyrie Empire had over 2,000 warships. Even the smallest council species had at least 300 ships. 43, Threlvor repeated. And you believe this gives you the right to challenge an empire of 2,000 vessels? We don't want to challenge anyone, Jiwoo said, stepping forward. Her voice was quiet but clear. We're asking the council to enforce its own laws. The Valkyrie are invading neutral territory. This breaks the agreements we all signed. The Valkyrie are expanding their sphere of influence, another council member said. This one was from the Korth Collective, a species that looked like floating jellyfish. This is their right as a growing civilization. It's invasion, Daewon said flatly. They're taking worlds by force, killing those who resist. Then perhaps those worlds should not resist, Threlvor said. The universe is not kind to the weak, Ambassador Kim. Your species should understand this. You are weak. You have 43 ships. You have no territorial claims beyond your small worlds. You spend your time talking instead of building strength. Daewon felt something cold settle in his chest. He had given this speech before. He would give it again. He had to try. Chancellor, council members, please listen carefully. Humanity does not want conflict. We prefer peace. We prefer diplomacy, but we are asking you officially and formally to stop the Valkyrie expansion. If you do not, if they continue to attack the worlds we protect, there will be consequences. Consequences? Quintel's mandibles clicked rapidly. You threaten the council? No, Jiwoo said quickly. We're not threatening. We're warning. Please understand the difference. We're warning you. Don't make us furious. You won't like what happens when we're furious. The laughter that followed was louder than before. Even the usually quiet species joined in. Don't make us furious. The soft humans with their 43 ships were warning the galaxy. Threlvor stood up, his full height making him tower over the chamber. Ambassador Kim, Chief Diplomat Park, humanity has been a valued member of this council. You are excellent mediators, wonderful traders, but you are not warriors. Please accept this reality. The Valkyrie will expand. The weak worlds will fall or submit. This is the way of the universe. Go back to your colonies and be grateful that stronger species protect you. Daewon looked at Jiwoo. She gave him a tiny nod. They had tried. No one could say they had not tried. We've said what we came to say, Daewon told the council. Please don't make us furious. They left the chamber to the sound of mocking laughter. 3 days later, the Valkyrie Empire attacked New Busan. New Busan was a human colony world on the edge of their territory. 2 million people lived there. Most of them were farmers and engineers. They grew food and built homes and raised children. They had no army. They had no warships. They had a small security force with light weapons. The Valkyrie sent 30 warships. Daewon was in his quarters when the message came through. Jiwoo burst in without knocking, her face pale. New Busan, she said. They hit New Busan. Daewon felt the world slow down. Casualties? Reports are still coming in. At least 300,000 dead in the first strike. They bombed the cities from orbit. They're landing ground forces now. 300,000. 300,000 humans dead because the Council would not listen. Because the galaxy thought humanity was weak. Day-Wan stood up slowly. Call an emergency council session immediately. They won't come, Jiwoo said. Threlvor's office already sent a message. They said this is a regional dispute and the council will not intervene. Tell them we're coming anyway. Tell them this is their last chance. 2 hours later, Dae-Won Kim stood in front of the Galactic Council again. This time, not all the seats were full. Many species had sent junior diplomats instead of their ambassadors. They did not think this meeting mattered. Threlvor was there, though. He looked annoyed. Ambassador Kim, this is irregular. You cannot simply demand council sessions whenever. 300,000, Dae-Won interrupted. His voice was quiet, but something in it made Threlvor stop talking. 300,000 humans are dead? The Valkyrie are killing more as we speak. We asked you to stop them. We warned you. We begged you. And we explained the situation, Threlvor said. The galaxy is not pleased, Jiwoo said. She stepped forward and Dae-Won saw tears in her eyes. Real tears. Please, we're asking one more time. Stop them. Make them leave our world. We don't want war. We don't want to fight. Please don't make us furious, Quintel clicked his mandibles. You keep saying this. Don't make us furious. What will you do, humans? Send your 43 ships against 2,000? This is not a threat. This is a joke. Several council members laughed. Not all of them, Dae-Won noticed. Some looked uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to help. Dae-Won looked at Jiwoo. She nodded slowly, tears still on her face. We warned you, Dae-Won said quietly. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button on it. We warned you many times. We said please. We said don't make us furious. You didn't listen. You thought we were weak. You thought peace meant we couldn't fight. What are you doing? Threlvor demanded. I just sent a message to my government, Dae-Won said. One word. The word was fury. He looked around the council chamber, meeting the eyes of each species that had laughed at humanity's warnings. Now you'll see why we kept asking you not to make us furious. Now you'll learn what we really are, and when this is over, when you're begging us to stop, remember this moment. Remember that we tried to warn you. Remember that we said please. Jiwoo and Dae-Won turned and walked out of the council chamber. Behind them, confused alien voices rose in question and concern. In human space across dozens of worlds, alarms began to sound. The alarm humanity had hoped they would never hear. The alarm that meant Protocol Fury was active. The galaxy was about to learn a terrible lesson. Admiral Hyunwoo Choi received the message at 300-hour station time. One word appeared on his private terminal. Fury. He had been waiting for this message for 30 years, hoping it would never come, knowing it probably would. He pressed his hand against the scanner on his desk. Across human space, on every colony, every station, every ship, the same message went out simultaneously. Protocol Fury was active. On the colony world of New Seoul, a farmer named Tae-hyung was working in his fields when his communication device buzzed. He looked at the message. His face went hard. He walked back to his house and opened a hidden panel in his floor. Inside was a military uniform and weapons. He had not touched them in 15 years. He put on the uniform. It still fit perfectly. On the trading station Harmony Point, a shopkeeper named Bora was selling fruit to a Korth merchant when every human in the station suddenly stopped what they were doing. They all checked their devices at once. The Korth merchant watched in confusion as Bora closed her shop, put up a sign that said evacuating Protocol Fury, and walked away. What is Protocol Fury? The merchant called after her. Bora did not answer. She had already contacted her family and was heading to the evacuation ships. All across the galaxy, humans began moving with sudden, frightening efficiency. They closed their businesses. They pulled their children from schools. They said brief goodbyes to their alien friends and neighbors. Within 6 hours, human civilians were streaming toward designated safe zones that no one knew existed. The galaxy watched in confusion, then in concern, then in growing fear. So-Min Lee stood in the intelligence center deep beneath Earth's surface. Around her, hundreds of screens came to life. Each screen showed a different alien world, a different government building, a different military base. All assets, report, she said calmly, across the galaxy. Humans who had lived quiet lives as teachers, merchants, scientists, and artists suddenly activated. They had been sleeper agents all along, embedded in every major government, every military command, every important corporation. For 30 years, humanity had been building intelligence networks. While the galaxy laughed at their small fleet, humans had been watching, listening, and learning everything. We have complete coverage, an analyst reported to Somin. Every Valkyrie military installation, every Council species defense grid, every trade route and supply line. We have it all, Somin nodded. Send the data to Admiral Choi and activate the Ghost Protocol teams. Young Jae Nam was on a transport ship heading toward Valkyrie space when the activation order came. Around him, 15 other humans sat quietly. They looked like ordinary civilians. A few other species shared the transport with them, traveling for business or tourism. The aliens did not know that Young Jae and his team were Ghost Protocol operators, the most highly trained special forces in human military. They had been trained since childhood. They could speak 15 languages. They could blend into any culture. They could kill silently in 100 different ways. New Busan, one of Young Jae's team asked quietly in Korean. New Busan, Young Jae confirmed. 300,000 dead. Now we make them pay. His team said nothing. They did not need to. They all understood what came next. Admiral Hyunwoo Choi stood on the bridge of his flagship, the HDFS Eternal Watcher. Around him, his crew moved with practiced precision. They were not scrambling. They were not panicking. They had trained for this moment for decades. Status report, he ordered. All ships responding to recall, his first officer reported. Fleet assembly at Rally Point Omega proceeding ahead of schedule. How many ships? Current count, 207. More arriving every hour. The bridge went very quiet. 207 ships, not 43. Hyunwoo saw the confusion on some of the younger crew members' faces. They had believed the official numbers too. Only the highest-ranking officers knew the truth. Attention all personnel, Hyunwoo said, his voice broadcasting across the fleet. For 30 years, humanity has maintained a careful deception. The Galactic Council believes we have 43 ships. This is correct. We have 43 ships in our official defense fleet. What they do not know is that we have been building and hiding ships in classified locations across our territory, ships in asteroid bases, ships in orbital construction yards disguised as civilian facilities, ships in deep space stations that do not appear on any map. He paused, letting that sink in. Every human colony has hidden shipyards. Every human has completed mandatory military service, even though we told the galaxy we have no military draft. We are not a peaceful species that forgot how to fight. We are a warrior species that learned to control ourselves. Today, that control ends. On the Valkyrie warship Dominance, Commander Vextor reviewed the battle reports from New Busan with satisfaction. The human colony had fallen quickly. Barely any resistance. He had expected more from a species that kept warning the galaxy not to make them furious. Sir, his sensor officer called out, we're detecting unusual movement in human space. Many ships heading toward our border. The 43-ship defense fleet? Vextor asked with amusement. Sir, I'm counting more than 43 contacts. Many more. Vextor walked over to the sensor station. He looked at the screen. His amusement died. How many? He asked quietly. Current count is 218, sir. And more are appearing. That's impossible. Intelligence said they have 43 ships. Intelligence was wrong, sir. Vextor immediately contacted Fleet Command. Within the hour, the Valkyrie Empire mobilized their forces. If humanity wanted a fight, they would get one. The Empire would send 500 ships to crush the humans once and for all. Young Jae, Nam and his team arrived at the Valkyrie Military Command Station on the planet Valkar Prime. They passed through security using forged credentials that were perfect. So Min Lee's intelligence network had provided everything they needed. Inside the command station, Young Jae split his team up. They moved through the facility like shadows. Guards who should have seen them somehow looked the wrong way. Security cameras mysteriously malfunctioned. Locked doors opened. Young Jae reached the main server room. He plugged a small device into their network. Instantly, every military communication across the Valkyrie Empire became visible to human intelligence. Package delivered, he whispered into his communicator. Confirmed, So Min Lee's voice replied. Extracting now. Young Jay and his team walked out of the command station. No alarms, no alerts. By the time the Valkyrie discovered the breach, the Ghost Protocol team would be 3-star systems away. Admiral Hyun-woo Choi watched the Valkyrie fleet approach on his tactical display. 500 ships. It was an impressive force. Under normal circumstances, it would be unstoppable. These were not normal circumstances. All ships, battle formation Omega, he ordered calmly. Target packages have been distributed. Every ship knows their targets. Rules of engagement are as follows. We offer surrender once. If they refuse, we show no mercy. If they accept, we treat prisoners with dignity. We are not monsters. We are humans, and we will act like it even in fury. His first officer looked at him. Sir, they killed 300,000 of us. Yes, Hyun-woo said quietly. And we will make them regret it. But we will not become them. We fight with fury, but we win with honor. That's what makes us different. That's what makes us human. The Valkyrie fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel, expecting to find 43 human ships, maybe 100 at most. They found 231 warships waiting in perfect battle formation, ships that were larger than anything the Valkyrie had seen, ships covered in weapons, ships that radiated power. Commander Vextor, now in charge of the Valkyrie attack fleet, stared at his screen in shock. Where did they all come from? His second officer whispered. Doesn't matter, Vextor said, trying to sound confident. We still outnumber them more than 2 to 1. All ships attack formation. Prepare to... His communication system crackled. A human voice came through, speaking perfect Valkyrie. Valkyrie fleet, this is Admiral Hyun-woo Choi of the Human Defense Forces. You have attacked our colony. You have killed our people. We offered peace. We warned you. You did not listen. This is your only chance to surrender. Stand down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. You will be treated as prisoners of war under our laws. You will not be harmed if you cooperate. Vextor laughed. You are outnumbered. You will surrender or die. There was a pause. Then Admiral Choi's voice came back, and it was cold as deep space. So be it. You were warned. Remember that when this is over. The human fleet opened fire, and the Valkyrie learned what humanity's fury looked like. The first Valkyrie ship exploded in a flash of blue light. Then another. Then 5 more. Commander Vextor watched his fleet die on the tactical display. Human weapons were nothing like what intelligence had reported. They were not using standard plasma cannons or missile systems. They were using something else, something worse. Evasive maneuvers, he screamed. Return fire. His ships tried. The Valkyrie were experienced warriors. They had conquered 12 species. They knew how to fight. But they had never fought humans before. Captain Soo Jin-han stood on the bridge of the HDFS Retribution and smiled coldly. Around her, the crew worked with calm efficiency. They had trained for this. Every human in the fleet had trained for this. Target the command ship, she ordered. Kinetic lance full power. Kinetic lance charged, her weapons officer reported. Firing. A beam of accelerated matter shot from the Retribution at a fraction of light speed. It hit the Valkyrie command ship's shields and punched straight through. The ship cracked in half. Soo-jin did not celebrate. She simply moved to the next target. Status on the rest of the fleet. All ships engaging successfully, Captain. Enemy casualties at 37% and climbing. Our casualties, 0. The Valkyrie had not damaged a single human ship yet. This was not a battle. This was an execution. On the Valkyrie destroyer Wrath, the crew panicked as human ships moved around them with impossible speed. The human vessels were heavier, more armored, yet somehow faster and more agile. How are they moving like that? The pilot shouted. No one had an answer. Human ships followed 3-dimensional paths that seemed to defy physics. They rolled, twisted, and dove in ways that should not be possible for vessels their size. A human frigate appeared directly above them, somehow having predicted exactly where they would be. It fired, and the Wrath's engines exploded. Across the battlefield, the pattern repeated. Human ships moved like they could read minds. Every Valkyrie maneuver was countered before it completed. Every attack was dodged or blocked. So Min Lee watched the battle from her command center and allowed herself a small smile. The Valkyrie thought they were fighting human instinct and reflexes. They did not know about the intelligence networks. They did not know that humanity had been studying Velkari battle tactics for 20 years. They did not know that human AI systems were predicting every move before the Velkari commanders even thought of them. "Send updated tactical data to Admiral Choi," she ordered, "and prepare the next phase." On the planet New Busan, Velkari ground forces had established control over the main cities. They thought they had won. They thought the civilians would stay defeated. They were wrong. Commander Tae Yang-song fell from the sky like a meteor. His personal re-entry shield glowed white-hot as he dropped through the atmosphere. Around him, 300 other human soldiers fell in the same way. No drop pods, no ships to shoot down. Just soldiers in armor falling from orbit. Velkari soldiers on the ground looked up in confusion. What were those lights? They found out when Tae Yang hit the ground at terminal velocity. His armor absorbed the impact. The ground did not. He landed in the middle of a Velkari patrol, and the shockwave knocked them off their feet. Before they could recover, Tae Yang was moving. His rifle fired in short, precise bursts. 6 Velkari soldiers died in 3 seconds. "Titans, this is Song," he said into his communicator. "We are on the ground. New Busan will be free by sunset. Begin the hunt." 300 human soldiers scattered across the occupied city. They moved through buildings and streets like ghosts. The Velkari had superior numbers. The humans had superior everything else. A Velkari squad leader watched 3 of his soldiers fall to invisible attackers. He fired wildly at the shadows. "Where are they?" he screamed. "Where are the humans?" "Everywhere," a voice said in perfect Velkari. The squad leader turned and saw a human soldier standing 3 meters away. How had she gotten so close? He raised his weapon. She was faster, much faster. On the HDFS Retribution, Captain Soo-Jin Han received a damage report. A Velkari battleship had finally managed to hit them. "Damage?" she asked. "Hull breach on Deck 17, Section 4. Emergency bulkhead sealed. No casualties. Repairs underway." Soo-Jin nodded. Human ships were built different from alien vessels. They were designed to take hits that would vaporize other ships. Multiple hull layers, redundant systems, damage control teams trained to work in combat conditions. A single hit that would disable a Velkari cruiser merely annoyed a human frigate. "Return fire," Soo-Jin ordered. "Double tap." The Retribution fired 2 kinetic lances simultaneously. The Velkari battleship that had shot them ceased to exist. Chief Engineer Min-ho Kwon watched the battle from the engineering deck of the HDFS Eternal Watcher and felt a mix of pride and sadness. Pride because his weapons worked perfectly. Sadness because they had to use them. For 30 years, human engineers had been developing weapons in secret. Not just better versions of what the galaxy used. Completely new technologies, kinetic lances that could punch through any shield. Nanoswarms that could disassemble ships molecule by molecule. Mines that could hide in subspace and appear inside enemy vessels. AI targeting systems that predicted enemy movement patterns. And those were just the weapons they were using today. The really terrifying weapons were still in storage. Weapons humanity hoped they would never need. Min-ho had argued against building some of them. "These are too powerful," he had said. "Too dangerous." His commander had replied, "That's exactly why we need them. If we ever have to fight, we need to win so completely, so overwhelmingly, that no one ever wants to fight us again." Looking at the battle now, Min-ho understood. The Velkari were learning that lesson. The hard way. Commander Vextor's fleet was dying. Of the 500 ships he had brought, less than 200 remained functional. The humans had lost 0. 0. It was impossible. It was humiliating. It was terrifying. "All ships retreat," he ordered. "Jump to hyperspace immediately." But when his ships tried to jump, nothing happened. The human fleet had deployed some kind of field that prevented faster-than-light travel. They were trapped. "Velkari fleet," Admiral Hyun-woo Choi's voice came over the communication channel again. "You cannot run. You cannot win. You have one choice left. Surrender now or die. We will ask one more time. We will not ask again." Vextor looked at his tactical display. His fleet was surrounded, outgunned. outnumbered in terms of effective combat power. He thought about the 300,000 humans his empire had killed on New Busan. He thought about how humanity had warned the galaxy, again and again, not to make them furious. No one had listened. All ships, Vextor said quietly. Stand down weapons. Surrender to the human fleet. Across the battlefield, Velkari ships powered down their weapons. Some refused. Those ships died in seconds. On New Busan, Commander Taeyang Song stood in the capital city's central square. Around him, captured Velkari soldiers knelt with their hands bound. More human forces were arriving every hour. The city was almost fully liberated. A young Velkari soldier, barely old enough to fight, looked up at Taeyang with fear. "Are you going to kill us?" the soldier asked. Taeyang thought about the 300,000 dead humans, civilians who had done nothing wrong, children, families, people who just wanted to live in peace. "No," he said finally. "You're prisoners of war. You will be treated according to our laws. You will not be tortured. You will not be executed. You will be given food, water, and medical care. When this war is over, you will go home." "Why?" the young soldier asked. "We killed so many of your people." "Because," Taeyang said quietly, "we are not you. We fight with fury, but we do not lose our humanity. That's the difference between us." In the Galactic Council chambers, Chancellor Threlvor watched reports of the battle with growing horror. The humans had not just won, they had dominated. A fleet that should have crushed them had been destroyed with 0 human losses. And now reports were coming in from across the galaxy. Human ships appearing in multiple sectors. Human ground forces liberating occupied worlds. Human intelligence, networks that had been invisible for 30 years suddenly activating everywhere. "How many ships do they actually have?" Threlvor demanded. "We don't know," an aide replied. "At least 300, maybe more. They've been hiding them somehow." "And their weapons?" "Far more advanced than our intelligence reported. Sir, they're not using technology we recognize. Some of it might be prototypes, some might be completely new science." Threlvor sat down heavily. The galaxy had made a terrible mistake. They had thought humanity was weak because humans chose peace. They had confused patience with inability. War Commander Quintel entered the chamber, his mandibles clicking nervously. "Chancellor, 3 council species are requesting emergency defense assistance. They fear humanity will attack them next." "Will they?" Threlvor asked. "I don't know," Quintel admitted. "We don't know anything about humanity anymore. We thought we did. We were wrong." Ambassador Daewon Kim's voice suddenly came through the council's communication system. "Chancellor Threlvor, this is Ambassador Kim. The human defense forces have defeated the Velkari attack fleet. We are now advancing into Velkari territory. We will continue until the Empire surrenders completely. This war ends when we say it ends. We tried to warn you. You did not listen. Now you will watch what happens." Admiral Hyunwoo Choi's fleet arrived at the edge of the Velkari home system, 3 weeks after the war began. In those 3 weeks, humanity had captured or destroyed 60% of the Velkari military. 12 colony worlds had been liberated. The Empire was collapsing. But Hyunwoo did not immediately attack the homeworld. Instead, he did something unexpected. He started broadcasting. Every screen on every Velkari world suddenly showed the same thing. A human woman standing in a simple room. This was Commander Yoonbi Yoon, head of psychological operations. "People of the Velkari Empire," she said in perfect Velkari. "For 30 years your government has told you that you are a great conquering race, that you are superior to other species, that your expansion is glorious and right." Images began playing behind her. Velkari soldiers killing civilians on conquered worlds, prisoners being tortured, whole cities burned. "These are the truth your government hid from you," Yoonbi continued. "These are war crimes committed in your name. Your government called it glory. The rest of the galaxy calls it murder." More images, secret documents showing plans for genocide, communications between Velkari leaders discussing the elimination of entire species, battle plans for attacks on neutral worlds. The Velkari population watched in shock. Many had suspected their government was not telling the complete truth. Few had imagined the truth was this dark. Your military attacked our colony world, Yunbi said. They killed 300,000 civilians. Your leaders told you these were necessary casualties. They were not. They were innocents, children, families, people who wanted only to live in peace. The screen showed images from New Busan, before the attack, showing happy cities and peaceful farms. After the attack, showing burning ruins and mass graves. We are now in your home system, Yunbi said. We have your military defeated. We could destroy your homeworld. Millions would die. But we will not do this. Do you know why? She paused, letting the question hang. Because we are not your government. We do not kill innocents. We do not wage war on civilians. We fight soldiers and destroy military targets. We are human. And being human means we do not lose our morality even in fury. The broadcast showed Admiral Hyunwoo Choi now. People of the Velkari Empire, you have a choice. Your military government has brought this war to you. They refused peace. They attacked those who could not defend themselves. They ignored all warnings. Now they hide in their bunkers while you face the consequences of their decisions. He leaned forward, his face serious but not cruel. We offer you this. Remove your government. Arrest your military leaders. Surrender peacefully. If you do this, we will not attack your homeworld. We will help you build a new government. We will provide aid. We will treat you as people, not enemies. But if your military continues to fight, if your leaders refuse to surrender, then we will remove them by force, and many innocents will die in the process. Please choose wisely. You have 48 hours. The broadcast ended. On the Velkari homeworld, the population erupted into chaos. Some refused to believe the broadcasts. Some had always suspected the truth. Many simply felt betrayed by their own government. In the underground government bunker, the Velkari High Command argued frantically. This is propaganda, one general shouted. Human lies, is it? Another asked quietly. I've seen some of those operations. I signed off on some of those orders. How did the humans get those documents? We fight to the last. The first general insisted. We are Velkari. We do not surrender. We are Velkari, the second general said. And maybe that's why we should surrender. To save our people. To save our world. Above the planet, civilian ships began approaching the human fleet. They broadcast messages of peace. They showed protests happening on the surface. The Velkari people were rising against their government. Jiwoo Park watched this from Earth and felt tears on her face. Not tears of sadness, tears of relief. We did it, she said to Daewon Kim. We won without destroying their homeworld. We did not win yet, Daewon said quietly. But maybe we can win the right way. Maybe we can show the galaxy that victory does not require slaughter. 43 hours later, the Velkari military government fell. Not to human weapons, to their own people. The population stormed the government bunkers and dragged their leaders out. They arrested generals and politicians. They tore down monuments to conquest and burned propaganda posters. The new provisional government contacted Admiral Hyunwoo Choi with a message. We surrender. Please help us become better. Hyunwoo authorized the first human ships to approach the planet. Not warships. Medical vessels and supply carriers. Ships full of food, medicine, and engineers. General Sang-woo John commanded the human occupation forces that landed on liberated Velkari worlds. His orders were clear. Rebuild, protect, prepare for self-governance. On the world of Velkar III, Sang-woo watched his soldiers distributing food to hungry civilians. Human engineers were already repairing power plants destroyed in the fighting. Human doctors treated wounded soldiers and civilians alike. A young Velkari child approached him cautiously. She held out a drawing. It showed humans and Velkari standing together. Thank you for not killing us, the child said. Sang-woo knelt down to her level. We are not here to kill. We are here to help. Your government made bad choices. But you are not your government. You are children and families and people who deserve a chance to live in peace. He took the drawing carefully. May I keep this? The child nodded and ran back to her mother. Sang-woo looked at the drawing for a long moment. This was what they were fighting for. Not conquest, not revenge, but the chance to create something better. In the Galactic Council chambers, Chancellor Threlvor faced a crisis. Humanity had won. They had defeated the Velkari Empire in less than 2 months. They had shown military power that terrified every species in the galaxy. And now, 3 council species had decided to take advantage of the chaos. The Krell Confederation, the Morath Alliance, and the Shen Collective had all launched military actions against their neighbors. They saw the galaxy in disarray. They saw the council paralyzed. They saw an opportunity for quick gains. They had not learned the lesson of the Velkari. Diplomat Jiwoo Park appeared before the council with a new message. Chancellor, council members, we are aware of the new conflicts. The Krell attacking the Denari worlds, the Morath invading Prin territory, the Shen seizing independent stations. These aggressions end now. Ambassador Park, Threlver said carefully. Your fleet is occupied with the Velkari situation. You cannot fight on multiple fronts. Jiwoo smiled. It was not a happy smile. Chancellor, we have been holding back. The fleet you saw defeat the Velkari, that was 30% of our actual military strength. We have been very patient. We have shown mercy to the Velkari because their people turned against their government. These 3 species are choosing aggression after watching what happened to the Velkari. They are choosing stupidity. We will educate them quickly. You cannot threaten council members, War Commander Quintel protested. We are not threatening, Jiwoo said coldly. We are informing. Humanity spent 30 years trying to create a peaceful galaxy through diplomacy. You all laughed at us. You called us weak. You let aggressors do whatever they wanted because the council was too afraid or too corrupted to stop them. That ends today. She pulled up a holographic display showing human fleet movements. We have dispatched forces to all 3 conflict zones. The aggressors will receive 1 warning, 1 chance to surrender. If they refuse, they will be defeated. Their governments will be removed. Their military capabilities will be dismantled, and then we will help them rebuild, just like we are doing for the Velkari. You cannot just attack council members, another delegate protested. Watch us, Jiwoo said simply. We tried your way. We tried diplomacy and patience and asking nicely. It does not work. The galaxy respects strength, so we will be strong. And when we are done, you will have a choice. Reform this council into something that actually maintains peace or watch humanity enforce peace ourselves. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Chancellor, we know about the bribes. We know about the corruption. We know which council members have been taking money from aggressors to look the other way. We have 30 years of intelligence data. If this council does not reform itself, we will reform it for you. Think carefully about what you want the future to look like. Jiwoo walked out, leaving shocked silence behind. The Krell Confederation discovered how quickly human fury moved. They had attacked 3 Denari colony worlds, expecting an easy victory against a species known for being peaceful traders. Human ships arrived in 18 hours. The Krell fleet commander received a simple message. Withdraw or be destroyed. You have 10 minutes. He laughed at first. Then human warships began targeting his vessels with impossible accuracy. One by one, his ship's weapon systems were disabled by precise strikes. Not destroyed, disabled, stop. We surrender, he broadcast frantically. Too late, the human commander replied. We gave you 10 minutes. You laughed. Now you learn. The Krell fleet was systematically taken apart, ships captured, crews arrested. Within 6 hours, the entire fleet was neutralized with minimal casualties on both sides. The Morath and Shen forces received the same treatment in their sectors. Quick, brutal, efficient. 3 years had passed since the war began and ended. The galaxy looked different now. The Galactic Council had reformed itself into the Reformed Alliance. It had real power now, real enforcement capability, real accountability. 12 species had joined immediately. 7 more joined within the first year. Even the proud Korth Collective, who had initially resisted, eventually accepted membership. Councillor Seojun Lim represented humanity in the Reformed Alliance. She walked through the new council chambers with mixed feelings. Pride that humanity had forced positive change. Sadness at the cost. 300,000 dead on New Busan. Thousands more in the fighting that followed. Victory had been necessary, but it had not been free. Councillor Lim, Chancellor Threlvor greeted her. He looked older now. The war had aged many leaders. The Denari representative wishes to thank humanity again for intervening when the Krell attacked. They don't need to thank us, Seojun said. We did what the old council should have done. Protected the weak from the strong. Threlvor nodded slowly. We were fools. We thought strength meant aggression. We thought peace meant weakness. Humanity taught us otherwise, painfully. The lesson needed to be painful, Seojun said, or it would not have been learned. She looked around the chamber. New security protocols, new voting systems, new enforcement mechanisms. The Reformed Alliance could actually prevent wars now. It could deploy peacekeeping forces. It could sanction aggressive species. And leading those peacekeeping forces was Commander Da-yoon. Oh Da-yoon stood on the bridge of the Alliance peacekeeping ship Unity. Her crew was mixed species. Humans, former Velkari, Denari, even some reformed Krell. They all wore the same uniform. They all followed the same rules. Commander, we're receiving a distress call from the Tuller system, her communications officer reported. 2 minor species are in a territorial dispute. It's escalating toward violence. Set course, Da-yoon ordered, and send the warning protocol message. The message that went out was the same one humanity had tried to give the galaxy before the war. Please don't make us furious. Stand down. Accept mediation. Choose peace. But now, when that message was sent, people listened, because now they knew what happened to those who didn't. The 2 species in the Tuller system saw the peacekeeping fleet arrive and immediately stopped their military preparations. They agreed to mediation. The conflict was resolved through talking instead of fighting. Da-yoon watched from her command chair and felt a strange mix of satisfaction and sadness. Peace enforced through fear of violence. It was better than constant war. But was it real peace? Commander, one of her officers said. This was a young Velkari who had joined the peacekeeping forces after the war. Is this what you wanted? Everyone being afraid of us? No, Da-yoon said honestly. We wanted everyone to respect peace because it was right, not because they feared the consequences. But we work with the galaxy we have, not the galaxy we wish we had. On the rebuilt New Busan, Ambassador Dae-won Kim walked through the memorial park. 300,000 names were carved into stone. 300,000 reasons why the war had been necessary. Jiwoo Park walked beside him. They were both older now, more tired. They had achieved their goal of reforming galactic governance. But the cost weighed on them. Do you think we did the right thing? Jiwoo asked. We did the necessary thing, Dae-won replied. Whether it was right, history will judge. A group of school children passed them, laughing and playing, human children and Velkari children together. The young generation growing up in a galaxy where former enemies were learning to be friends. Maybe that's our answer, Jiwoo said, watching the children. Maybe we did it right after all. Admiral Hyunwoo Choi oversaw the decommissioning ceremony of the HDFS Eternal Watcher. The great warship that had led humanity's fury was being retired. It would join dozens of other warships in reserve status, hidden again in the places where humanity stored its strength. It seems wrong, his first officer said. We won the war with these ships. They should be honored. They are being honored, Hyunwoo said, by being put away, by not being needed. The greatest honor we can give these ships is to never use them again. The fleet that had terrified the galaxy was quietly disappearing. Humanity kept enough ships for defense and peacekeeping. The rest went back into storage. Hidden but ready, a reminder to the galaxy of what could happen if humanity was pushed too far. Hyunwoo thought about the young officers who had served under him during the war. Many had left the military after. They wanted to build, not fight. They wanted to create, not destroy. That was the human way. Warriors when necessary, but builders by choice. In a small human colony on the edge of explored space, a teacher named Haewon taught a mixed class of different species. One student was Velkari, a young female named Ketra. Teacher Haewon, Ketra asked, why did humanity warn us so many times? Why not just attack? Haewon put down the tablet she was holding. This was an important question. She needed to answer it carefully. Because we know what we're capable of when we're furious, she said. We know what we become. Humans have a long history. We fought terrible wars against ourselves. We built terrible weapons. We did terrible things. We learned eventually that being able to destroy does not mean we should destroy. But you did destroy, Ketra said. You destroyed our fleet. You defeated our military. Yes, Haewon said. Because we had to. Because your government would not stop otherwise. But we also rebuilt, we helped. We tried to heal what we broke. That's the difference. We fight when we must, but we don't lose who we are. Another student, a human boy named Jin Ho, raised his hand. My grandfather died on New Busan in the first attack. Should I hate the Velkari? Haewon looked at Ketera, who looked frightened. Then she looked at Jinho. Your grandfather died because of bad choices made by bad leaders, Haewon said gently. Not because of Ketera. Not because of her family. Not because of her species. People make choices. Some choices are good. Some are terrible. Judge people by their own choices, not by what others did. Jinho thought about this. Then he looked at Ketera. Sorry, he said. I don't hate you. I'm sorry about your grandfather, Ketera said quietly. The two children went back to their schoolwork. Haewon watched them and felt hope for the future. In the Reformed Alliance chambers, a new crisis emerged. The Shen Collective was showing signs of rebuilding their military beyond allowed limits. Counselor Seo-jun Lim stood before the Alliance and delivered humanity's position. We will send inspectors. If the Shen are violating agreements, we will enforce consequences. But we will do so through proper channels. Through law. Through process. We will not rush to war. We learned that lesson too. Power must be used carefully. The Shen representative protested, but not strongly. They knew humanity could enforce compliance. They also knew humanity would give them fair treatment. It was better to accept inspection than to face what happened to those who broke the peace. Later, Seo-jun met privately with Chancellor Threlvor. Do you think it will last? Threlvor asked. This peace we've built? I don't know, Seo-jun admitted. Peace is not permanent. It's something we have to maintain. Every day, every year, forever. And if someone breaks it, then humanity will respond. But not like before. Before we had to prove we could fight. Now everyone knows. Now we can focus on building instead of destroying. That's what we wanted all along. Threlvor looked at her. Your species is strange. You have the most powerful military in the galaxy. You could conquer us all, but you choose not to. Power without restraint is not strength, Seo-jun said. It's weakness. True strength is having power and choosing not to use it. On Earth, former soldiers had returned to normal lives. Farmer Taehyung worked his fields again. Shopkeeper Bora ran her store. They kept their military training current. They maintained their readiness. But they hoped they would never need it again. Young Jae Nam, the Ghost Protocol commander, taught at the Intelligence Academy now. He trained new agents in the arts of information gathering and covert operations. But he also taught them ethics, limits, the importance of fighting only when necessary. We are not assassins, he told his students. We are protectors. We gather intelligence to prevent wars, not to start them. We operate in shadows so others can live in light. Never forget that. His students listened carefully. They would be humanity's eyes and ears across the galaxy. They would watch for threats. They would gather information. They would protect humanity's interests, but they would do it ethically. That was the human way. Captain Soo-jin Han retired from active duty and became an instructor at the Naval Academy. She taught young officers how to fight, but more importantly, she taught them when not to fight. The greatest victory, she told her classes, is the war you never have to fight. Anyone can shoot. Anyone can destroy. True skill is knowing when shooting and destroying are actually necessary. She showed them recordings of the battle against the Velkari fleet. We won this battle in minutes. We had superior technology, superior tactics, superior training. But you know what would have been better? If this battle never happened. If the Velkari had listened to our warnings. If the Council had prevented the conflict. We won the battle, but we failed to win the peace before the war started. Her students learned that lesson well.